Hello. And welcome to our first episode of An Artist and an Idiot. We are talking today about The Dark Knight, beginning our series on Christopher Nolan, a very well-known, slightly overdone director in some people's opinion.
I do have that opinion, and I'd like to elaborate a little bit. The Dark Knight currently sits at number 3 on IMDb, above Shawshank Redemption and Godfather Part 2. So while I will not say he is a bad director, while I will not say this is a bad movie, I happen to like this movie. It might be the most overrated movie of all time. And what I mean is, when we talk about Nolan, we talk about Dark Knight, we're not separating him from good or bad. He's good. We know this. We're now judging him in the level of great to the best. Award-worthy. And in talks with Godfather and Shawshank Redemption and, every other fantastic movie. This is held as one of the best ever. I think it might be one of the best performances ever. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot in this movie that I find takes it out of the running for even my top 50, honestly.
Wow. The interesting thing about Christopher Nolan is that he writes the vast majority of his movies. He does this with his brother, which changes the dynamic of the movie a lot. Usually your director is choosing a script and not necessarily writing it themselves. The Prestige is my favorite Nolan movie. We'll get into that in, I think, the second or third episode. Interestingly enough, not written by him, adapted from a book.
Yeah.
So my theory is kind of like, I'm very character driven. I think I can speak for both of us.
Yeah, I always look at character
We're
first.
really character driven, not so much plot. Like, the plot is obviously like why you're going to see the movie, but the characters and how you can relate to them or not relate to them is what fleshes it out. And Nolan,
not the best character right
not
there.
the best character.
And what a fool to write his own movies. I mean, if your movie bombs as a director, you can say, well, I did what I could with the script.
Mm-hmm.
What a dumb person trying to go the extra mile like that. You fool, Christopher Nolan.
I mean, I think it's worked out well for him.
No.
So really, these are all just like opinions.
He doesn't know business so well. He needs to know how to blame it on the next guy. I mean, he has that's too much artist integrity there for me.
Okay. Do you think that he's proud of his own movies though? Like, I feel like he
yeah.
goes to sleep like, I'm the best.
Well, in the comment section of every Facebook, he will help him sleep well. No, his movies are good, and I'm only joking. It's respectable to write your own movies. It's just much easier if you don't. Yeah. It doesn't open yourself up to armchair people like me.
Careful, that might be trademarked.
Oh.
You never know.
Get at me, Dax Shepard. Why do you even call yourself armchair? You're a known actor.
He's armchair expert.
That's
his podcast title.
I know, but he's not an armchair expert because he's a well-known actor and married to an even more successful actor. Although I do want my money back for Without a Paddle.
All right, so we're gonna start right into it, talking about the characters. We're not really gonna get so much into the Joker because what hasn't been said already.
Well, in a movie that came out years ago, we're just right on top of everything.
Oh yeah, we're real fast on the.
But yeah, Heath Ledger, I think we're both in agree. I will say I'm a comic book fan. My Joker will always be forever Mark Hamill. With that being said, it's a different even medium, animated and voice acting. But what he did for the character, that element he added, it is this movie. This movie would be, in my opinion, nothing without him. It would be a very
Heath Ledger.
Well-budgeted Batman movie, yes, without Heath Ledger. And without that character. And, I mean, props to Nolan in that area, too. I mean, that you did either you gave him the constructive criticism he needed, or you were smart enough to back off and let him create this. so this is the second iteration, Batman Begins, which honestly is my favorite Batman movie. It's not the cleanest movie, but I think it takes a lot of risks, and I like it. This is the Christian Bale reprise of his role. I did read in an interview that he had made the collective decision not to try to compete with Heath Ledger in Darkness. He said he wanted his character to be much darker than it was. He even said he wanted a second crack at it. He felt like that he wasn't the best Batman he could be. Granted, Christian Bale's, naturally hard on himself and his set crew.
And his family.
But I did feel like his performance dropped a little bit with this. He leans into the now infamous Batman voice a little too much. That whole separation of I'm not Bruce Wayne is fine, but Bruce Wayne doesn't have to be a one-dimensional character either. And I felt like in Batman Begins, Bruce Wayne was a character. In this one, he's a front, which kind of leads into the plot, but I felt like there could have been more there.
Do you think that Batman Begins was the character development of Bruce Wayne, and then The Dark Knight is the fulfillment of that? Because I always felt watching Christian Bale's Batman as like Bruce Wayne, the front he puts on as Bruce Wayne is like stupid, like rich boy, and I feel like that is his front for being Batman. And you're just finding that not as convincing?
Yeah, I'm not finding it convincing. Also, and I'm really going to try to keep myself from just saying, well, in the comics, because I don't subscribe to that. I really don't.
And I didn't read them.
Yes. But with that being said, even from a character within this movie, I mean, Bruce Wayne does this because his father and his mother, his parents died. Mm-hmm. His name is a legacy. And you would think he would still, even though, yes, the real man is Batman, not Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne, they say it 1,000 times in the movie and 1,000 times throughout the series. Bruce Wayne is the real Mask, which is stupid, honestly. A dual personality would be a little more interesting. But beyond that, like, that's your family name. That's who you are, and, he doesn't play it like aloof rich guy. He plays it like a dick. Like, I'm an asshole all the time. And you're supposed to do it so he throws everyone off their trail. I get it, but like, this is your legacy. Wayne Enterprise is very much part of this world. Mm-hmm. And Bruce Wayne almost turns into your comedic character. He's your
comedy relief?
Yeah, he's your comedy relief. He brings the strippers into the restaurant and they play in the pool. He falls asleep at the meeting. Like, he drives his Ferrari and the homeless person says cool car, like that kind of thing. And I feel like that's a real missed opportunity. And if you are going to include characters, that's a real misrepresentation.
Fair enough, but it's called Batman. It's not called Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Right, but I mean, if you're gonna make a movie and you're Christopher Nolan and you already got 3 hours, like, if you're gonna try to
only have a 3-hour movie.
No, you already have 3 hours, like, of material. How else are you going to fit in more Bruce Wayne? Like,
have him have conversations instead of
that takes
just
time and time
having
money.
No, or time he used on pissing contest with Harvey Dent.
Yeah, he did flip that coin quite a few times in this movie.
He's just a sad boy. But I don't want to get hung up on Batman in this Batman movie.
Fair enough.
We can do a quick touch on kind of the supporting cast. Obviously, no bad performances for anybody.
Yeah. Well, we have talked about Maggie Gyllenhaal. A little bit. And I don't know what happened. Because I think she's great.
What happened is she changed from a different actress.
Yes, that's right. Katie Holmes was Rachel in Batman Begins, and I can't really, from an actress perspective, that is my specialty. So, that would be very tricky to replace.
Yeah, you're inheriting somebody else's role.
Yeah,
this is not your character.
You gotta look at like how she played it in Batman Begins and stay at least somewhat consistent with that. Like, you can't really change that much. And so I did like that she was, this is more of a script thing, I guess, but she was going toe-to-toe with the guys in the movie, which for its time, I want to say.
Well, for DC in general,
yeah,
has a women issue.
It was cool to see that. And, like, I remember I saw this movie 3 or 4 times in 1 week in theaters. And, I freaking loved it. And I was, like, really excited to see her kind of going toe-to-toe with them. But now when I look at it, you know...
we were young and we thought quips could be character. And she's just quips. And in addition to that, and this isn't even a directing thing as much as I think it was an acting thing, her character is plot device Bruce Wayne's heart. Mm-hmm. Number one, you've killed Bruce Wayne as a character. So her existence is just to make him not like Harvey Dent as much, but that doesn't go anywhere. And the second issue is that it really, really depends on their chemistry. Like, that's her whole existence, is to be very...
And I will say, Katie Holmes had much better chemistry.
They had much better chemistry, and Bruce Wayne was a character. This one, he's just throwing things. So, yeah, you lose that element, I'd agree, with that. Katie Holmes had much better chemistry with him. There was an idea that, yes, he would stop being Batman. This is, you know, he did want to make it work for her.
So make me your one chance for a normal life.
Yeah,
I just had to say that one time, because that's such a... I did not like how that line was delivered.
There's a lot of that, and we'll get to that after this. But 2 more characters. Lucius Fox, Morgan Freeman played Morgan Freeman, and Morgan Freeman plays a great Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, unpopular opinion maybe. Kind of feel like that's every movie. He gets by on his voice.
Oh yeah, and no, like, that's what I was saying. He played Morgan Freeman.
He played Morgan Freeman,
but he nails it every time, and I'm not sad about it, to be honest.
Okay.
Oh, you don't like the lack of versatility?
It's one dimension, and like that.
But he's a character actor. He plays the wise talking guy.
He's not. A character actor is like Andy Serkis. Okay, we're getting into an entirely different conversation about acting and types and things. But yeah, so okay, fine. Yeah, Morgan Freeman, he's great. He's fine. Michael Caine, kind of similar.
We're gonna touch on this later.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Is you can have Morgan Freeman in your movie, or you can have Michael Caine. They're here to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Talk a whole lot, give you a lot of exposition in a very calming, soothing voice. And you got 2 of them in your movie. Mm-hmm. And that's no good. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love them both, but they're the same. They show up to every movie for the same reason. Yeah. And you double booked.
And I feel like Christopher Nolan does this. He leans on the status of his actors for the plot in the movie to succeed, which is a total business move, total moneymaker. I get it. But I'm more interested in seeing actors do things I haven't seen them do before and forget that I'm watching that actor. And we talk about this in his other movies as well. He just leans on their status, and I feel like that's a cop-out.
Yeah. The one thing I will say, blending into roles, the last one we can dive into, not even dive into, tap on, and this is not as well, Gary Oldman. Great performance, but he plays Commissioner Gordon, which is the most quintessential I'm a policeman character. There is nothing malleable about and it's with every Batman iteration ever, except for his really stupid plan to like fake his own death.
Which he's probably done so many times by the reaction of his family. Because I just have to talk about this.
Yeah.
So he fakes his own death, right? Mm-hmm. Wife, great reaction. Love that moment of her opening the door and seeing him and slapping him. That still gives me goosebumps. But then he goes into his kid's room and like wakes him up, and the first thing the kid says is, "Did Batman save you, Daddy?" And I'm just like, okay, he's done this before. Take 3.
Yeah, I thought like
this is not unusual for their household.
What a last resort plan for only the Joker. I mean, you have the Rogues Gallery coming in the Batman universe. You're already used to fake your own death. Like that's a one hitter, man. That is out of your arsenal. Hope you're happy with your decision, because you can't do that every time a big bad rolls into town.
No, maybe that's why his wife slapped him. Like, you bitch, you can't do this again. And then when he does die, she's just going to be waiting for him to come back. Oh, God. All right.
So then they'll make a psychological thriller called Commissioner Gordon's Wife.
That's the spin-off.
It's going to be an Oscar dark movie.
She starts dating the Joker.
Oh, my God. Starts dating Bruce Wayne.
Anyway, Gary Oldman... I love him so much. And to me, I've seen him in so many different things. This feels like a character still, even though it's a kind of
No,
flat...
he plays it well. Well,
Yeah.
It's a bunch of high-end actors doing the best they can with very flat characters, which is a theme for Christopher Nolan.
Strenuous dialogue.
And I think that transitions us well into our next segment about, we'll go right into the writing.
Yeah.
And this is something that this is where I fall off the Christopher Nolan train real hard. I think Christopher Nolan's biggest character in all his movies is the plot. And all the other characters and all the other actors have to get out of the way so you can cram as much of it in as your 13-year-old monster drinking head can handle. It's so convoluted, and I get the Joker's supposed to have this ultimate plan, but it is so much dialogue. Exposition. This is the word of the day, kids. Exposition. Michael Caine doesn't talk, he monologues. Lucius Fox, Morgan Freeman, doesn't talk, he soliloquies. Freaking Rachel in this movie just yaps so much about nothing. We know nothing about these characters because they're just explaining that Batman is not a hero. Jackie, did you know Batman's not a hero in this movie?
I'm told that.
Are you told that in the movie?
Seen it, but I'm told that he's.
Because if you forget, the movie will remind you 9 times at least that Batman is what Gotham needs right now. But not the hero they deserve, or maybe I reverse that. I don't care.
My opinion on the dialogue is I don't love it either. I think it's a little bit overkill. But I will say we don't watch movies to see the same thing that we experience in everyday life. We expect to have some, not only suspension of disbelief, but an extension of reality, I would say. So his dialogue, not everybody in life has a comeback that the way everybody in a Nolan movie does. And I think that's, you do. That's actually true. You do. You have something for everything. But it's his extension of reality. And it's a way to do it. I think that it's probably people expect more visual examples of
show don't tell, Jackie.
Show don't tell. Yes, exactly. Rule number 1 of movie making. But you could argue that this is his way of making reality sharper or different or fantastical or however you want to say it.
That's, something real fantastical when every guy in all your movies is gel back hair with the suit on with he does filter of bluish gray.
He does this thing where he makes movies that think for you. So it's a way to do it, and a way to do it to make quote, I'm doing air quotes, smart movies for the masses.
Idiots. Thank you for segueing into what will become my rant, and this will open you up to my true Christopher Nolan bias. As you just said, Christopher Nolan makes movies to make stupid people think they're smart. You do it in Batman. We'll touch on it more in Inception. But you think you're figuring this out. But he literally tells you every detail of everything that's going on. So yes, you figure it out because he just gave you the audiobook on how X got to Z and Z got to Y. Of course you figured it out. You could close your eyes and you would hear Michael Caine tell you exactly what and why is going to happen. And then you're going to come out of the movie being like, wow, that movie was really deep. I can't believe I kept up with it. Because they held your hand through the whole thing. Because Did you know when I came out of that movie, I came with realization. Maybe Batman's not a hero, Jackie. maybe he's a villain, and maybe Joker is the one who doesn't want to follow the rules. Or maybe Harvey Dent is that medium in the middle. Do you know why I know that? Because I have this weird British Michael Caine voice in my head, just dropping 3 hours of exposition.
A ruby the size of a tangerine.
Honestly, this is a homeless man in a Christopher Nolan universe being asked directions. Hey, Mr. Homeless Man, how do you get to 4th Street? Well, how do you get anywhere? When sometimes you want to take a left, you think that's the only way to go, but life will turn you to a right. And while we're thinking right, is that wrong? Can you be right and wrong at the same time? And then we're 3 hours later, and you're burned through your Grogs gallery. Half your people are dead, and they're on boats for some reason now.
Oh, God. Okay, yeah. Can we talk about the plot for a second? All right. That boat scene was pretty unnecessary. And it did this thing for me where it switched all of a sudden going, okay, Joker's not the final boss, Harvey is. And it made... The boat scene with the Joker was a distraction, I felt.
Yeah, you raised a good point about should they have flip-flopped Harvey and Joker? Because Joker came into this, he always said, he works on chaos, but the movie makes it very clear. That's actually one smart thing the movie really did that I liked. And they handled the Joker well. The Joker always acts like things are spontaneous, but really he has, and this is the same in the comics, every iteration, he acts like it's spontaneous, but he has everything planned down to a T. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the fun of his character. He's kind of a phony. I like that. With that being said, Harvey Dent went crazy halfway through the film, and now he's already divulged a plan to get Commissioner Gordon's wife and put Batman in a what should I do situation. The Joker clearly had this plan for months. The boat scene, that was the big setup, and then it's over, and oh god, we have to take care of Harvey now. Like, Harvey feels like that, oh shit, I forgot the milk at the grocery store.
Right, he is like the third act climax, but it's, I guess maybe I'm just disappointed because I liked the Joker's character better. But I will say, for your point, I think that they planted the threads for Harvey's downfall. They did have a sequence with him threatening that female cop in the alley with the gun and stuff, and he flips the coin, and then he does the same thing with the schizophrenic, and it's there are little steps to him going.
There are little steps. But they feel like steps, not actual character choices. They feel like my character needs to do this in Act 1, he needs to do this in Act 2, so Act 3 can get like that. The good, a good way to would have showed cracks in his character when he was doing well. I mean, and I'm going to touch briefly, because I ranted about this for quite a while when we watched it. There's a court scene, which I feel like sums up this entire movie. Yeah. And I'm going to be very brief, because this could be a 30-minute rant. Mm-hmm. He is in court at the beginning of the movie. He's super sexy lawyer guy. He's got Rachel on his hip. He's got America in his eyes. And he's going to take down a big crime boss. And he's talking to a witness. The witness is clearly one of the mob individuals, and he pulls out a gun, and then the gun doesn't go off. Harvey disarms him, says some quick one-liner, and then walks away. The first thing, this is exactly what Christopher Nolan's audience is. I don't trust you to be able to sit through this court scene without getting bored as hell because you're a 13-year-old drinking monster, and you have to be home by 10:30. I need to wave a gun in your face halfway through this so you're not super bored, because remember, this is not Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine delivering this. This is just some character, and God forbid I don't have them to make you pay attention, so I need to dangle a gun in your face because God forbid my moron fan base has to pay attention for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I could see it that way. I guess I also see it as the hyperbolization of reality again, though, because you could never get away with bringing a gun into a court
Well, yeah,
scene,
I mean, and
or a courtroom.
that's where we're running to. We can
That's
poke holes
just
in Batman in
suspension
generally.
of disbelief right there, but
It's a very ADD move, in my opinion.
hostile, actually hostile.
Yeah, for a realistic comic movie, it's very silly. So, like, there were scenes where maybe you show him get angry, and this is again like I don't think I'm rewriting your movie in this, where I'm just saying your character had done nothing to show this would happen if he went through a trauma. Now I get it, like real life, people flip through trauma, but with character, I felt like the trauma happened so we could get to the plot, as opposed to the trauma drew this out of him.
Yeah.
And I will say this about the comic books, and I said I wouldn't go into it, but this is the one point where I want to, is that in the comics, and it even does this better in the animated series, he has multiple personality disorder. And I think it is the animated series, not the comics. I can't remember what the comics said. It might be the same. They called him Big Harv. That's what his therapist called him. Big Harv was the other guy. He would come out when he gets angry. And sweetest guy, your normal, charming Harvey Dent. But then you have the other side. And when this happens, the other side, this trauma happens, the other side takes over completely. And I don't need exactly that, but I would need a little bit of more saying Harvey always had this in him.
Yeah, so you'd want to see more character development with Harvey.
Yeah, if you're gonna lean into him, and that's like all I'd really want to see out of that. Like, I think you gave it the proper time, you didn't give it the proper execution, if that makes sense.
I think that Christopher Nolan, he also does this thing where he hires Hans Zimmer to do his music. Which is, again, fine. These are all choices. But, if you had a different score, music informs the audience on how to feel. So you could take this movie and put a different score over it and potentially have an entirely different emotional outcome with these characters.
Well, that's Christopher Nolan wants you to make his movies feel one way, big. He doesn't care if you're sad, happy. He just wants you to feel like you're watching something huge.
Yeah.
And
he's
Hans Zimmer
movies.
does the boas, and that makes your movie feel big. And I will defend this in a little bit. I feel like this is the movie that made Hans Zimmer a trope, rather than because I'm not a Hans Zimmer fan in the least bit. His one good score for Gladiator, he literally wrote exactly again for Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh my god, it's the literal same chord progressions.
It's the exact same one.
The time.
But I wasn't sick of it yet. I think this movie started a terrible trend. Also, it was because DC's so bad. I mean, even after this, Christopher Nolan stayed on as producer through a lot of the DC, like Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, and Hans Zimmer they'd always hire. And those movies were terrible, and they blew out even more, so I feel like we've kind of...
We just made a verb.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
Also, I love the 89 score, and I feel like I wouldn't even be sad if they, updated that one. Because I feel like that one is almost iconic. Like, Superman... That Christopher Reeves, that score is that's Superman music now. Like, that is his theme song forever. Much like the Spider-Man cartoon is for Spider-Man. For Batman, I mean, unless you're taking the Batman. If you take that one out, you can't do that. But, for the only thing that Batman vs Superman did well, they took that 89 score and they added it in. And I thought that was a nice little touch.
Interesting. I didn't even see it. I stayed so far away from that movie. The only thing I almost did was apply to be an extra because it was filming in
my
Lansing.
friend was an extra in it.
Yeah, but then I was like, you know what? I honestly didn't even do that because I was like, nah. Overall, I think this is technically a really good movie. It's just not the reason. It doesn't fulfill the reason why I go see movies.
It's
other than Heath
it's
Ledger.
not my best comic movie ever, and that's what the message board say. Best comic. It is the bar, and I think we could even set the bar higher than this
What would
movie.
you want to see from a comic book movie? Like, what is?
Well, we've seen it. Just kind of fall into what your character is. I mean, it's going to be different every time. They did Deadpool well. My personal favorite is Logan. On this movie, it's. I think it was a great performance that pulled an pretty good movie into another stratosphere, and I feel like the movie itself needs to be looked at for what it is, and it's pretty revealing about Nolan's directing style. Whether you like it or don't, it's very revealing about it.
About what
Christopher
we
Nolan
as a
is.
culture also want from movies. Like, it's like what the masses want. It's hard for me to imagine that this is the most critically acclaimed movie other than Heath
Well, it's
Ledger.
IMDb. It's not it's not a great source anyways, but that's where the people vote, and I've lost my faith in people.
Aw.
Because IMDb has Dark Knight is the third best movie of all time.
Yeah, it's good. It's just not deep, really.
No, it's
very surface level.
Everyone in this movie had to take a backseat to this convoluted plot, and every time the Joker left screen, honestly, I kind of tuned out.
Yeah. I think maybe that's why I tuned out in the third act. Other than little baby Joffrey. That scene was cool. But I did tune out when the Joker left. They beat him and then nothing was interesting anymore. And that final shot that everyone fucking freaks out about with the Joker like hanging upside down, that was disorienting. I remember being like, I didn't like that shot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't mind it.
It confused me geographically.
Maybe that was the point, Jackie.
Yeah, but
Christopher
he
Nolan
also
made you think for a second.
Okay,
and
well, this
threw
is a
you off.
cinematography thing too. Like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna pull a fancy shot like that, you have to give us clues that you're gonna do that in your movies.
Okay.
Like, that's the only time he had this weird camera movement, and it just came out of nowhere. And it was weird.
Oh,
and like,
yeah.
any other time, it's just a stationary on sticks like camera. And then all of a sudden, it does this like.
Yeah, no, I agree. The only other time I would say is a pretty good decision. I feel like it was kind of close to the time because that was like YouTube and these dark videos were kind of popping up at YouTube, like Saddam and things. When the Joker does that POV kind of murder, and he's looking in black and white and he has the hostage. It's the darkest scene in the movie, where Heath Ledger, he's looking in the camera, filming it, and then he shows everyone.
Oh my.
So
God.
like, I feel like there's that, and the other are the only kind of like that was the only time the movie cinematically for me got kind of interesting.
I think I blocked that out.
Well, I was like,
So good. It was her.
and I feel like that, and that's the Joker is the credit to it. This is the Joker movie. Like,
Yeah.
if you
it
threw
is.
Walking Phoenix,
I
in
know
there,
we
it'd be
weren't
crazy.
gonna talk about him, but man, I just had to.
Yeah, no, I mean you can't not. It's the reason this movie we're talking about it at all.
Yeah.
It's the reason it's on anyone's radar.
Yeah.
But we're just not gonna critically break it down because what else is there to say? It was good.
Yeah.
That's all the thoughts I think I have on
Yeah.
this movie.
I mean, overall, I think we can agree Christopher Nolan is obviously a really good director. It takes so much talent and work to direct a movie, especially when you're writing it also. I mean, the biggest thing that I don't think that film school really gave me much that I couldn't have learned online other than it taught me how collaborative it really is. Like, you can't pin the success or a failure on a movie on one person. It is so...
Watch me.
I'll fight you, bitch.
I mean...
You can't. Because...
It's the guy who makes the most money. And he made the
No,
most
it's
money.
not. The producer's making the most money. The producer is the boss of the director.
He produced it as well.
Okay, well then, yeah, he made the most money on it. But
I think he's a producer.
He produced.
I mean, Warner Brothers makes the most money off of it.
Yeah, the studio is the But any hoozle doozle, I just think that you can't blame or credit one person for the movie.
Yeah, but he makes a lot of money for all that hard work, so I don't have to pity him either if your movie comes out like shit.
Sure don't. And then I also think that we should, recognize that everybody is kind of looking maybe for different things from their movies, and that this is a movie that I like to watch when I don't really want to think about anything.
That's fair, but you recognize it for what it is. And I'm not saying hate the movie.
No,
Just
I
know what you're watching.
Know what you're watching, and maybe don't credit this as the most award-worthy, well-done movie of all time.
Send all the cops into the sewers. That'd be great.
Go see Citizen Kane or No Country for Old Men. We should do the Coen Brothers.
That'd be good, but there's not much to say. Except, fantastic.
Job well done. A+. Alright guys, thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye.